Let's I can't be positive, right? I mean, that was horrible. Over 600 yards on defense. We'll talk all about that throughout the week. But there was one offensive drive that drove me insane. Okay, that's all coming up today. Let's go. And smash that subscribe button. Let's do it. Let's go. LSU's got all the momentum in the world. We have an insane touchdown here by Terrace Marshall Jr., one-handed grab. This is what you wanted to see from Terrace Marshall, who caught 2 TDs on the day. Just look at that, baby. LSU's got all the momentum in the world, okay? That was after the Elias Ricks interception. So you get a huge play from a defensive back. I know, novel concept, right? DBU. So you get that. You score a touchdown quickly. 11 minutes is left to go in this game, as you can tell. And what happens when this high-powered Mississippi State defense gets back on the field? Offense, excuse me. You get a fumble. Let's go, Jacoby. Let's go, 7. That's a number 7 right there. And Jacoby Stevens' stats were crazy. Now, I want to know who Mad Dog 48 is. What is the genesis of Mad Dog 48? We've got to find Mad Dog 48 on this channel. Let's go, Allie Gay. Let's go. If he keeps playing like that, he'll be a first-round pick in the NFL draft. Long arms. Look at that. So, we could talk all the trash in the world about the LSU defense. B.J. Ojulari got a little rush. Let's go, B.J. Ojulari. Let's go. But the LSU defense steps up. And remember, LSU turned the page last year. They're an offensive team. You need to go out and win this game on offense. 1st and 10. 34-31. I hate tentative football. I hate runs on first down, especially after a turnover. I love shots down the field, but guess what? LSU actually checked out and called a really good running play, but guess what happened? Horrible execution. We're going to run this play at full speed. You got John Emery Jr., your most explosive back, and he gets chopped down for only a gain of 3. At least it's positive yardage, right? This should have been a huge play for LSU. Minimum 9 yards. So, LSU line up in 3 wide. They flip John Emery Jr. This was actually a pretty common play they ran at LSU. Put a ton of receivers over there. A lot of defensive backs have to come over here and guard it. And look at all the space that they have to run right here with John Emery Jr., who is the best of the 3 running backs at getting the corner. So all you have to do as an offensive line is just seal these 2 guys inside. Seal this linebacker inside. And all Terrace Marshall has to do is get a decent block right here. And it's 7 yards minimum, maybe more, if John Emery can make the safety miss. But that is not what happened, people. So, initially, it looks like LSU has done a great job at this. Look at this space. Dare Rosenthal has this guy sealed to the inside, but he passes him off too quickly to go to the linebacker, and Ed Ingram goes to the linebacker, and this guy gets through. Horrible communication. So what happens? Terrace Marshall, let's run it back. Once again, this is a critical time in the game. Leaves the corner to go to the safety. Now, I don't know if that's by design. Remember, LSU has a new receivers coach. You know, last year Joe Brady was the wide receivers coach. He's gone. I don't know if this is Mickey Joseph's design. I don't know. But it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to leave the corner and go to the safety here. So you miss this block. Terrace Marshall lets this guy go free. So John Emery Jr. actually does a good job of missing this guy, but he then gets cleaned up right here. That should have been 7 to 8 yards on first down. Okay. All good, right? 2nd and 7. At least it's a positive gain, right? If you're a Myles Brennan hater, this is your fuel. This should be the video you send to every person that is defending Myles Brennan. So, that's the play at full speed. But there's actually a lot to digest. And it's kind of tough when the game is moving at full speed, especially if you don't get a replay. And the replay that you actually got, I'll show you the replay in a second, wasn't a good replay to actually break down the play. So, here we are. A lot of people were complaining about the play calling. This is actually a perfect call by Steve Ensminger, okay? 3-man rush. All right? I'm going to show you why that's important in just a second. 3-man rush, so 8 guys are playing back deep. What does that mean? You still need to get the football out quickly because you're not going to have anybody open deep because there's 8 guys back there defending. Boom. He's even looking in this direction. Jaray Jenkins, who's been his best weapon today, is wide open. This is as wide open as you're going to get when 8 men drop back into a zone coverage like that. Football needs to be out right now, especially if you're a pocket quarterback and your arm is your best asset. Now, 42 actually got decent push, and I know it's different, breaking down a freeze frame, but any quarterback evaluator out there should tell you this is a simple throw. In fact, you can make an argument that this football could have been thrown before he even got out of this break. This is an easy coverage to read. This is obviously the soft spot in the zone. But look, 42 gets decent push, gets in his pass angle, but this is a problem, okay? And if you go back to episode 10 was our first viral video, and I say viral, our first video to go over 3,000 views was episode 10. The secret weapon that Joe Burrow has that Myles Brennan must have to succeed at quarterback is mobility and the ability to read a pass rush. Now, Joe Burrow was really good at it, okay? Exceptional. Like Russell Wilson good at reading a pass rush. But this is simple geometry, okay? If there's 3 pass rushers, you have to know that this defensive end is going to go upfield if he's perfectly blocked. And this defensive end is going to go upfield if he's perfectly blocked. So if you're going to decide to not throw the football here and you want to buy extra time, the extra time is not going to be going 5 yards in this direction. Instead, if you want to buy extra time, you need to step up, read where this nose tackle is going, and then step up here. Okay? Once again, I think right now Myles is saying, crap, he was wide open. I should have thrown it. Now should I throw it? I'm going to run out here. Hopefully he'll still be open. And obviously you can't play quarterback that way. So instead of stepping up in this direction and reading where this rusher was going and knowing that your tackles have a good block right here, he does the absolute worst thing you can do in this situation. Runs backwards. As a quarterback, unless you're Michael Vick on Madden 2004, you should never give ground going this way. Because what that does is this defensive end who was washed 20 yards upfield is now back into the play. This could have easily been a turnover or a huge sack, which would have knocked you out of field goal range, which is what you don't want to do in this situation. So he misses the easy throw, misreads the pass rush, could have even stepped up here and run for a few yards. Instead, he does the worst thing you possibly can do. This could have easily been a turnover or a huge sack, but at least he throws the football away and you live to see another down. That, to me, out of all the snaps I have watched all this night, was the worst snap for Myles Brennan. It's 2nd and 7. You have a perfect play call, an easy, safe throw to the receiver who had been dominating Mississippi State, and you miss it. But once again, it's his first start, so you get another snap. You live to see another down. 3rd and 7. Myles Brennan, 3rd or 6th. I'm going ahead and just going to run this play full speed. There's a lot to break down about it. So, Mississippi State not in a 3-man front now. LSU checks into 5 wides. Empty set. I thought LSU ran empty a little too much for me. Even that was a big part of their offense last year. And they said they weren't going to change a whole lot up from Joe Burrow. I don't like empty for a quarterback that hasn't started a game in over 1,400 days because you could feel kind of empty back there. You're basically the last line of defense. And if you're not a mobile guy, that really allows these pass rushers to tee off. This is one hidden gem that people don't tell you about pocket passers who you don't have to fear running the football. That allows these defensive linemen to go downhill, and Myles Brennan can't punish you for over-penetrating the hole. Joe Burrow punished Clemson. He punished Alabama for rushers that penetrated the hole too quickly, and this allowed rushers to lose their contained responsibilities, and this is a good example of that. So, we're going to run this play at full speed really quickly so you can see. And this looks like bad protection. And it kind of was, but it kind of wasn't. But like I said, the only way you can really judge and fully judge a football play is if you have the end zone camera. And thankfully, we had the end zone camera. So, if you're Myles Brennan, this is pre-snap. There are no blitzers. So you have to know that you have 5 guys here to block 4 guys. So what LSU is actually going to do is get not 1 but 2 wide receivers open. Terrace Marshall's going to run a crosser across the field here, and Jaray Jenkins, once again, who had a really good game, is going to be wide open on this crosser coming across the field. So what happens here? Dare Rosenthal gets too wide in his pass set here. He gets beaten to the inside. They run a twist stunt. And that is actually a lot of pressure given up there by Dare Rosenthal. So Myles actually does a good job. Sidesteps it. And sees Terrace Marshall open. Throw the football right there. Yes, there's a guy coming down. Throw the football. But you see, he wasn't able to set his feet. Bad pass protection. It's too much ground. Ed Ingram is sprinting to keep up with this guy, and then Liam Shanahan sees Ed Ingram in panic, so what does he do? He sprints. But if he would have just stayed at home and blocked this guy, Myles Brennan could have just stepped up here, and look who's wide open. Jaray Jenkins. But this is what not having a mobile quarterback does to your offense. Does a great job evading that rush. A lot of mobile quarterbacks makes this defensive back or defensive tackle miss. You make a miss, you got pay dirt, you can reset your feet, throw it to a wide open Jaray Jenkins right there and get a first down. Or he kind of panicked just a little bit. If he just stops, resets his feet right there, he sees Jaray Jenkins wide open. He's even looking at him. But instead he panics because he doesn't want to take the sack. You can even throw a duck right there. But once again, Myles Brennan is not the same dynamic playmaker Joe Burrow is. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, don't compare him to Joe Burrow. Well, a lot of quarterbacks not only can make that defender miss, can actually make this throw. See, so reset your feet and make that throw. His head is on the rusher instead of his receivers down the field. Tries to make a miss. Lack of athleticism. Look, this defensive tackle's actually on the ground. And he barely gets shoestrung right there. Look at all that space to run. And I know this linebacker could have caught him, but, you know, if you're running in this direction, you can at least get to the pylon there. Or the pylon, the first down marker. And there you go. So, LSU has to settle for a field goal. Now, this is what drives me insane, okay? Now, look at this. I want you to notice this. How many timeouts does LSU have? 3. LSU has 3 timeouts left. They burned 2 on defense after this field goal. There's still 9 minutes plus left in the game. I saw one of my buddies, Posier, tweet this out. But championship teams, you have no business being in this game. Mississippi State has gifted you turnovers. They gifted you a pick six. You have been sacking them. You won the turnover battle. They allow you back in the game with 9.5 left. Championship teams respond. Championship coaches respond. But instead, LSU folded to give up 10 unanswered points. So, as critical as I was of the LSU offense on that drive, and everything went wrong on that drive, you whiffed the block with John Emery Jr., your most explosive back on first down. Whiffed multiple blocks. On second down, your quarterback, who has a 4-year understanding of Steve Ensminger's offense, 2 years if you include the upgraded offense, misses an easy pitch and catch throw on a 3-man rush, and then misreads the rush, runs backwards, almost gets a sack or a strip sack, fumble out of field goal range. And then on third down, Dare Rosenthal, who was hurt, inconsistent, gives up too much ground on the pass rush, on a really good play, crossers to pick up the first down. Myles Brennan didn't reset his feet, hit Terrace Marshall on that one crosser, or Ray Jenkins on the other. I know football happens at a way faster speed, but I showed you the plays at full speed, and you could have seen for yourself that LSU could have made a play. What did LSU do? Well, they kept giving up yards. That wheel route to Kylan Hill, who only, Mississippi State had 9 rushing yards. There's so much to dislike. But this is what happens when you play tentatively. When you're playing for field goals to tie the game. You've got to go for touchdowns. You got to be willing to make those throws. I know the timing wasn't right. And I don't think even LSU knew that Ray Jenkins would end up being a featured wide receiver in this offense. I don't know. No one was saying Ray Jenkins' name before the year. Everything was going haywire. Mississippi State obviously was putting the work in on you. But right after giving up that first play, it's one play. You burn a critical defensive timeout that hurts you at the end of the game, which, by the way, if you're down by 10, why wouldn't you kick the field goal with 52 seconds left and then onside kick to get the football back? Because you got to score twice. But instead, LSU ran the clock out down 10. What sense does that make? So, from execution to playmaking ability to coaching, this was a disaster. And we can have a discussion all we want about the defensive backs. But Bo Pelini was dealt a bad hand that his cornerback that shuts down an entire half of the field the day before the game has an allergic reaction and is hospitalized. We could talk about that all we want. But the facts remain the same. On a championship offensive drive, your best defensive players, Allie Gay and Jacoby Stevens, steps up and makes a play for you. You're down by 3. You get 3 good play calls. You still couldn't execute. And this championship defense had the opportunity to come back out and make a play. And I know there's a lot of discussion and debate about this play right here. But ask yourself this question. Did LSU really deserve another break in this game? Did LSU deserve to be gifted another opportunity to win this game? No. No, no, no. And this was a good play by Ika to just blow this guy up and force a fumble along with Anthony there. But still, it's frustrating. It's very frustrating. So I appreciate everyone that enjoyed the live stream. Let me know what you think of this film study. Let's have a deep discussion about this LSU Tiger football team. Because today was pathetic effort. Pathetic! And I'm not going to blame first-year players. I'm not going to blame freshmen. I know a lot of you talk bad about Evans, the transfer from Nicholls State. He shouldn't even have been on the field today, but, happens. But I'm a mostly positive person. You get Missouri and Vanderbilt these next 2 weeks. If you don't win both of those games, maybe you rethink quarterback. Maybe you rethink scheme. Who knows? So, I want to ask you, what did you think of today's film study? Let's have a discussion. As always, it's Power Hour. Well, actually, let's do a subscriber shout-out. Let's pull this up. I wanted to shout him out because we had a discussion on Twitter as well. Romeo, the pride of New York. We had people watching from Malaysia. Shout out to everyone that was on the live stream yesterday. A lot of Mississippi State fans came in and talked some trash. Hey, guess what? They deserved it. They deserved that opportunity. So, as you can see, my dad let me know that Twitter's bashing DBU. All right, guys. We'll talk to you soon. It's Power. That's my dad coming in right there. It's Power Hour LSU. Boom. Go Tigers. I'm going to be positive, okay? All right. Probably a calzone type of night. I think I got a Rotolo's calzone in the kitchen.